For more on the politics of all this, let's turn now to Margaret Carlson, political columnist for Bloomberg News and Washington editor for The Week magazine. Margaret, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
All right, well, I'm blushing from what the congressman said, but back to the...
You should be.
The Hill reported today that Mike Ross of Arkansas spoke out in favor of Medicare Part E, Medicare for everybody, which is... it's the public option with a different name on it. But the fact that he can support it, presumably because he can sell it to his constituents, should we be reading the fine print of what's actually in the legislation to make sure that it's actually in the legislation, that these are the same things and we're not trying to sell people different things?
God forbid we should read 2,000 pages, Keith, especially in light of your rebranding working to get some Blue Dog Democrats on board. And in fact, the public option was so maligned and mischaracterized for the month of August that, you have to pull it back with something simple like Medicare, not that it's simple, but Medicare Part E, which is really what it is. I mean, there was a time when insurance was a nonprofit business. The police, education, most of it is a public service. Insurance used to be nonprofit to model something like that because healthcare is a public service. Then it got to be for profit. Now, if the bill goes forward that has an individual mandate, which is you have to buy insurance, should the government be driving 40 million new customers into the arms of a flawed system? Should Aetna just get that handed to them for a few concessions, like, not hanging denials on pre-existing conditions? That's why there needs to be a public option.
What does Mr. Ross's support of this suggest to you in terms of the final outcome here? That
they can, yes, they can. They can do it. It looked like the House was always much closer than the Senate. If the House moves along and if the public option loses the negative connotations of, death panels and grandma under the bus and socialism, and people understand it for what it is, you don't have to take it. You can have it, and this other falsehood that's out there is that there are 1,300 insurance plans you can sign up for. Well, some states have one. There's got to be competition for all these new customers, or all we're doing is enriching Aetna and Cigna and WellPoint.
I'm fascinated by the vote, the 20-6 vote on the doctor's quick fix, where some Democrats went against it, some independents went against it, and some Republicans went for it. Republicans and Democrats voting on the same side of what is essentially a doctor and, to some degree, patient-friendly bill. That would be, what's that word again? Bipartisanship, wouldn't it? Serious bipartisanship, though.
Oh, the doc fix always goes through. The doctors this time would like a permanent fix. I don't think the system can take a permanent fix of this. Let's just get it done this one year. And Republicans are not against it. They're for it. They're just making it difficult, saying, show us the money, make it pay as you go. They'll figure this one out.
And speaking of making it difficult, the president is supposedly going for this quiet period. He's going to sit on the sidelines with the greatest respect to the president and his desires. Snowball's chance in hell? Is that what he's got of pulling that off in the next few weeks?
Yeah. That's as likely as you taking a timeout, Keith. He may step back for a minute or two, but to pull this thing back, he had to be on the air in September. He was criticized for that. I think it's fine to say he's going to drop back for a minute, but it won't last for long.
Margaret Carlson of Bloomberg News and The Week magazine, as always. Great. Thanks, Margaret.
Thanks, Keith.